We're going to take you over to central London. Greg Clark, Business Secretary, is talking there now. We're expecting to be saying something, certainly, in reference to Honda.
Dedicated workforce and the suppliers of what has been a phenomenally successful business and has done so much for UK manufacturing during its time here. And with the town of Swindon, whose proud manufacturing tradition, as everyone knows, dates way back to Brunel and the days of the GWR, and which has been home to one of the best car factories in the world during Honda's time there. And so our message to everyone affected by Honda's closure is that we value intensely your skills. We completely understand the challenges that you face, and we will do everything that we possibly can to support every single person in the community, in the workforce, in the supply chain, to make sure that their skills and their ingenuity will find expression and application in the years ahead. Now, of course, this news comes on top of months of uncertainty that you as manufacturers have had to endure about Brexit and about our future relationship with the EU. And just spotting in the audience so many people that I and Richard meet during the course of our work, and I know how important it is to you that we should find an early resolution of what our relationship with the rest of the European Union is going to be. Because you know that every decision that you make on prices, on cash flow, on logistics, and investment has real consequences for the hundreds of thousands, indeed millions of people that you employ. And I've been always quite clear that a situation in which our manufacturers don't have the certainty that they need about the terms under which over 2/3 of our trade will be conducted in less than 40 days' time is unacceptable. It needs to be brought to a conclusion and without further delay. I'm immensely grateful to Stephen Phipson and the EEF, now Make UK, for the advice and the support that they've given on your behalf. This is a membership organisation, and I want you to know that the views that you express to the headquarters are deployed forensically and consistently by Stephen on your behalf. Richard and I meet with Stephen every Wednesday morning for a full hour's discussion of what he's found from his interactions with you during the previous week. And it really makes a difference. I can't understate the importance of the evidence and the intelligence that you supply through Stephen to us in our roles. And it's with the help of the EEF that we made, first of all, and won the argument for a significant transition period, recognising that you need time to adjust to a new regime, whatever it is. A period during which your ability to trade with the rest of the EU remains as now, time to adjust to new arrangements. It was also based on the evidence, and I think there's been a national education in the realities of just-in-time production and integrated supply chains that the whole country has learned, but very much pioneered through the evidence that you've supplied to Stephen and has been deployed through the EEF. That shaped the crucial objective of maintaining frictionless trade, and that remains front and centre in our aims for the future economic partnership with the EU. And I and Richard will continue to work with you and to listen to you, the manufacturers and the employers, to make sure that your voice is decisive in this crucial debate. And yet, as important as all this is, I can't stand here today and claim to you that all of your requirements have been resolved. To do that, we need to have a deal, because leaving the EU without one would, in my view, be a disaster for the whole country. In the survey that EEF, Make UK, published just last week, 2/3 of manufacturing employers said that no deal would result immediately in price increases on products, whilst almost 1/3 of manufacturers said that no deal has implications for jobs. Now, some people when you voice these concerns, describe this as Project Fear. But for me, as knowing the familiarity that you have with the reality of running manufacturing operations and employing millions of people around the UK, I think it is better described as Project Reality. And your evidence needs to be acted upon. And I know from talking to many of you yourself of the consequences from the logistical problems caused by new customs checks to potential limitations on sending skilled workers to the UK to install, to maintain and service your products. There is I think, a lack of adequate understanding historically in this country as to how intrinsic manufacturing is to the success of our service economy. Many of your products, many of your revenues, I know, derive from the service contracts that you have in support of the manufacturing operations that you have in this country. And I also know and entirely understand the importance of having this resolved much more quickly than I think has been in prospect. The reality is that yesterday, the first freighter that will arrive after the 29th of March set off from Felixstowe, bound for Japan, with no clarity on the terms under which its cargo will be admitted when it reaches its destination. That is, I know, unacceptable to you, and it's unacceptable to me. And for me, it shows how absolutely essential it is to conclude the arrangements with a deal in the weeks ahead. And not on the last minute, on the 28th of March, but as soon as possible. Because no one should regard waiting to the last moment when you are making decisions now that have consequences for many weeks and months ahead as acceptable. I've always thought, and my colleagues in government have, that an orderly Brexit, one that implements the outcome of the referendum, but in a way that protects prosperity, growth and jobs, is what we should insist on. No one wants to be poorer at a time when the opportunities that we have in manufacturing specifically are greater than ever before. So we will go on making sure that the argument that manufacturers put for a deal to be concluded swiftly is something that is heard loud and clear. The deal that has been proposed is by no means perfect, but it does meet, in the view of many of you here, the needs that you've expressed, and in particular provides more certainty in a time of great uncertainty. But of course, decisions like Honda's this morning demonstrate starkly how much is at stake. Honda's announcement they have described as not being related to Brexit, but to the changes that are taking place in the automotive sector. And there are many people in this room that are aware of that and participate in that. And that's why this is such an important time to build on the foundations that we have in our economy, to make sure that we profit from the opportunities, especially in areas in which the UK has a stunning reputation. A few months after the EU referendum, I had a conversation with someone known to everyone in this room, the Siemens UK CEO, Jürgen Meyer, which gave birth to the idea behind Made Smarter, making sure that smaller firms have the ability to access the cutting edge of new technologies that sometimes are taken for granted by the larger OEMs and some of our research institutions, encouraging and helping smaller firms to adopt new technologies that can help them become competitive in this time of global change and to create more jobs.